And so that's why with my team, I clearly will say, here's a task that I want you to do. Now, I'm going to tell you,
Welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development. Let's join Howie and Beastmode in conversation.
While you were on kind of a recharge or retreat, right? Yeah. What was that thought?
Yeah, thanks. So I took off. I was kind of in the woods for about 4 days with my wife, and I just had kind of this image in my head, which was really beneficial to me, and I could see myself kind of like the future and sort of like business and sort of like my current situation, where it was like there was a black cloud in front of me, and it was a little ways off, but it was in front of me. And and it was kind of like a metaphor for the situation, that I felt like I was in. This is why you take retreats. Like, you need some time to think, and you need some time to meditate, and you need some of these types of things in prayer. And so I was, I was very aware when I was having these thoughts and these mental images that, I had to walk forward into that darkness. And that there's treasure in that darkness, but it's not going to happen if I don't have the faith to walk forward into that darkness. And sometimes, or I won't go into theoretical, I'll just keep it with my story. But I have to build things that I can't see are going to work for sure. I have to try things that maybe others are not trying, that may sound even crazy. I have to be willing to experiment. I have to be willing to walk and persevere in areas that I might be uncertain about. And I find this, has happened to me more than once in my career. And it's like we have precious little time, but we need to invest some time in those walking forward into darkness type scenarios, and persevering in that. If you, the thing about it is like, I won't get going on project X, Y, and Z or something, if the darkness is going to stop me. And the darkness could be things like, think about this. The darkness for me could be fear. It could be fear of failure. It could be fear of embarrassment because it didn't work out. It could be fear that I'm going to lose my job if something didn't work out. It could be fear of wasting time. It could be fear that I don't know what I'm doing. It could be, I keep using the word fear a lot. So the darkness must have a lot of fear in it, right? That must be a lot. But it also could just be the darkness is like, we just don't know. The classical definition of darkness is just like an area of not knowing. So yeah, I think, recognizing that there's darkness in all of our decision making in business and career, and making the choice to walk forward because and not having to have it all figured out is a secret to getting going. And I do look back on my career, and we've talked about many of these, but I do look back on my career and things that I've built that I wasn't sure were going to work or wouldn't be accepted or adopted or whatever. Some of those have led to really great things. So there is treasure in the darkness, but make no mistake. I mean, I doubt I'm the only person listening that has darkness that's ahead of you, that you have to be willing to walk through that.
Yeah, and it's a pretty self-aware time that I would say that you're in, that you're aware that, hey, there's a cloud around me, or I'm in a cave or something. I'm not basking in, hey, I got any job, hey, I got this team. And it's not a time of, okay, I've reached this goal, and so I'm just gonna not kick back, but I'm gonna coast for a little while, because I earned it. You had a tough 2020 leading into 2021. I mean, let's just be real with that, right? With the job search.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what we were talking about too, is that there's a little bit of self-awareness that needs to take place, to recognize that I'm in a dark area.
Yeah.
Because again, we could get stuck in that things are okay, they could be worse, And so I'm going to perceive that I'm not in a dark place or in a cloud or whatever. I'm going to manually put that there, as opposed to being self-aware that it's pretty rugged where I'm at, and that's okay. But I gotta persevere and push through, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, some of the darkness is also, I appreciate you saying you thought I had some self-awareness. That's really kind. I'm glad you see some of it, but I would say that as much of a compliment as I take that, I think self-awareness is something that I don't have enough of, to be honest.
Sure.
And I feel like I don't know what I don't know.
Mm.
And so I'm oftentimes, I'm working hard. I'll give you a classic example. I'm in Austin right now. You can see I have a different background and stuff. I'm in Austin on a business trip, and I had a few hours this evening that I can invest in special projects because I don't have family around.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, but I have probably 3 to 4 different things I could possibly spend time on, and I'm not sure which one has the highest yield, and I cannot get them all done. What do I do? Right?
Yeah.
That's darkness too. At the end of the day, what I did about it, by the way, I will be honest, as I prayed about it, and I took one of them that popped into my head. Because again, they're all pretty good. I'm not going to make a big mistake. Like, they're all 3 or 4
Yeah.
things that were good.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, is I used prayer for providing some direction on that. And I'm very unapologetic about that. I recommend it highly.
Yeah.
But you're going to sometimes have 3 or 4 choices in front of you that are bad, or 3 or 4 choices in front of you that are good, or a mix of both. And how do you make that decision, right? And so what I have found sometimes is just pick one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean, it's good advice. It's really solid advice. It seems like it's too simple, but there's a lot of us who need to just pick one. Just go with something.
Look what you did, right? So, it's the pandemic, and you had a personal retreat and a personal vision as well. And you were like, you know what? I really want to reach homeless people and help them have showers, because they never get showers, right? Or rarely. And I want to be able to help them in certain other ways too, right? And so, you could have been paralyzed, but what you did was you started with something small. You started with bringing hygiene bags around before you had any facilities, before you had much or any funding. You start off. So it's like you picked one too, and you started walking forward into what? Darkness.
Oh, it still feels like it.
I'm sure it does. But it has grown, and it has helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
And all that. And so it's like you walked forward into darkness, and you picked one.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a great analogy. For me, I didn't feel like that at the time. I can be honest, because I remember that. I mean, it's been a year and 4 months since I took the step. What I did know is I knew what the end goal was, and I knew I didn't have it. So I knew I had to do something. And I knew that it didn't matter what I did, because if I didn't do anything, then I would never get to the end goal. And so that's what I knew is, and I remember going out there the first day, and I went and bought a 10 loaves of bread. So, and I knew
that's right.
I knew that, and I knew that if I bought 10 loaves, then I could make 120 sandwiches. I knew that because I counted the slices.
Yeah, sure.
And so I knew it. I was like, okay, I can make 120 sandwiches. I'll buy 120 bananas. I'll buy 120 waters, and I'll just go, and then I'll just ask, hey, if I brought a shower around here, would you get in? I wanted to see if it was actually
kind of
something.
check it out. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just want, hey, I'd like to do this. Would it be something that you would be interested in? Or would you rather go? Yeah. Would it be a better idea for me to get you to a facility?
Right.
Would you rather me bring it to you, or would you rather get there? Like, should I go get a bus and get you there, or should I bring the bus to you?
Yeah.
And so it was just, but I knew it was just like that.
Yeah. But see, what you don't, what you do understand, but I think it's too early for you to celebrate yet. And it's too Like you're not probably like patting yourself on the back too much yet. And part of that's humility. Part of it's just that this is too new, maybe because it's only been like a year and 2 to 3 months, right?
Yeah, a year and 4 months.
Okay. But what the great thing that you modeled was that you had darkness in front of you, but you had an idea, you had a vision, you had a dream, let's call it.
Yeah.
And is it a Bible verse that says, don't despise the day of small beginnings?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so you didn't despise the day of small beginnings, but you started off with, loaves of bread and you made sandwiches, right? And then eventually you had people help you make more sandwiches. And then you pivoted into these kits and gift, like little bags of stuff. And then, on and on and on. And then, some volunteers more and more started helping you. And so, but what you did is you took those literally humble steps forward.
Yeah. I don't know where I heard that, but there is it's a quote, I'm probably going to butcher it, about you can't do something if you don't do nothing. You just can't. You can't achieve whatever dream, whatever goal, whatever idea. It will never come to fruition if you do nothing. It could be the best one ever.
Right.
Seriously.
Well, I'm facing that right now with my job seeker content, which is why you're pushing me to use this platform to record it. It's like I have 150 slides that I put freaking blood and sweat and tears into. Not tears, but a lot of blood and sweat. With every technique that I used to get a job during the pandemic, and also reflecting back a few years to another time that I was searching for a job, and kind of mixing the best of both worlds. And it's graphical, it's animated, it's like specific examples. And I am so busy with my job, I don't have time for a side hustle. Like I have to give my job 110% because it kind of needs it / deserves it. And B, I have a hard time doing two things at once. But on the other hand, it may be the greatest content. I'm just kind of reflecting what you said. Maybe the greatest content ever, and it may help 100 people get jobs. Which, by the way, I do have actually multiple people now who I've done one-on-one coaching with who actually have gotten jobs. I think at least 2, but there may be more than that. Yeah, and they're using some of these techniques. So, so your point is really good, and I can apply it to my own self. Like it may be the best ever, but if I'm not doing something, at least something small with it, then who will ever know? Because my hope was to like sell it on Facebook, and I can make $10. And I can feel really good about it. And even if I don't sell a lot, it'd feel really good. And then I'm more than happy to give it away to other audiences as well. Like I was thinking about giving it away to people that are exiting the military, or at least something really reasonable. And then I was thinking about people that are exiting prison or other populations, giving job seeker content to them. But again, right now I'm not even doing anything with it. And it's like freaking good content. It's like 150 slides of like my best stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So I need to start off with buying 10 loaves of bread. I mean, I can use your metaphor. I need to start off with like freaking like peanut butter and jelly and bread.
Yeah.
And not wait until I'm basically not walking in that one area of my life. I'm not walking forward into darkness.
Yeah. And there's something that you have is you have somebody, and I'm talking about myself, but you have somebody who's saying like, let's do this together. It's your deal. I'm 100% supportive. It's not about me. It's all about you.
Yeah.
But let me record it. Let me chop it. Let me do that. And I'm just going to give it right back to you. And I had that too. I mean, I didn't make every sandwich. I had some family who came over and made some sandwiches with me.
I remember. I remember very well. I was very touched and honored that you had people that were pretty early on, really.
Yeah. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it a bunch,
Yeah.
And but again, it was enough to where that seed was able to get in the ground.
Yeah.
And you were
there's so many people that are like that.
Yeah.
Like they have some idea, but I think they can start off with 10 loaves of bread. I don't think they have to start off with like $100,000 investment. You and I have a friend. You and I have a friend of mine. You and I have a good friend of ours who we have kind of urged to not spend a 6-figure amount on their situation with their business, because we want them to try it out cheaper first, right? And so we don't, I think you and I both would agree, like starting small is really, really cool. Plus, even if my case, like I've had people where I've just kind of done personal coaching and they've gotten jobs, like that's going to feel good. Even if it's like not gonna like sell $10, like cool. But that would really, it does make you feel good. So starting small is really good. And that's one of the secrets to walking into darkness with your vision and your dream is, starting small, do what Beastmode did, buy freaking 10 loaves of bread. And make sandwiches.
That's it. Now
I will. It's such a cool analogy. Like I'm going to tell my daughters that. I mean, like, did you know that Beastmode actually started his ministry with just 10 loaves of bread?
10 loaves. That's it. I mean, seriously, it was 100, 120, one of everything.
Yeah.
And that's because again, where do you go? What do you do? Like,
right. What do you do? I mean, there's no playbook for helping start a ministry called Cleanup that eventually wants to have multiple. I don't know how much you want me to say.
Yeah, whatever.
Really?
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the vision is what Cleanup is doing right now with providing mobile showers, which, Beastmode does have a facility now that travels to Dallas and Fort Worth. But I mean, his vision is to be able to serve markets that, frankly, we all know that in the news where there are hotspots, where there's real problems with, with this population, with homeless populations.
Yeah.
And so, he's got a bigger vision. So right now it's kind of like it's almost like his first unit that he's got is almost like figuring out the kinks and working out the process to where it can be replicated.
Yeah. And really what it is providing.
You didn't know you were this awesome until I told you just now.
I don't think I'm awesome at all. but what
but you are providing a really cool example for all of us, not just in the ministry, but also the concept of walking forward with your dream, even though there is darkness.
Yes. And I think what separates Cleanup, and I really want to get off Cleanup.
Yeah, because you're too humble.
But I think what Cleanup really is, the differentiator is zero expectations. I think that is what separates. And I think that's what translates. Is that we're here, Cleanup is here to serve and to love our neighbors, right? Whoever that population encompasses, our neighbors. That's the reason why I use that vernacular. But it's with no expectations. It doesn't matter, however long you're here, whatever your goals are, it doesn't matter. I'm here to serve and to love on you. And knowing again that those seeds will return. And even if you don't have a goal right now, that's probably best that I don't set one for you. I just love you and I serve you. Yeah. And I think that's what translates anywhere. People in LA need to be served and loved without an agenda, without expectations. People in Seattle and Nashville and Houston and everywhere.
Yep. And what's great about that too is like you have the ability at scale, you start growing and you have the ability to buy in bulk, you have the ability to manage logistics and, like everything's, multiplied and costs are reduced because things are multiplied and people aren't inventing it themselves. But instead you've got, some accountability, you've got training, you've got support, you've got, all of that. So I think it's really cool and it's a big problem. And, there's definitely in the United States, there's unfortunately some pretty tough spots.
Yeah. And it's actually, I don't even know if I've told you this. The very first time that we bought in bulk, it was because somebody else had there was another disaster and another organization, let's just say, had the desire to meet a need in a very similar way that what we were doing with hygiene bag, right? But they didn't have the connection that I did to have buy in bulk, right? And so what I did is and again, this was just working it out in the dark, was to say, hey, you already have the resources. You were going to spend those resources and get like 100 items of each to make 100 bags. If you give me those resources, I'll get you 700 of every
really?
item.
That's cool.
And that's how we bought in bulk. And then what happened is they got 350. So they got more than what they thought they were going to get. And cleanup got 350 because we were able to do that. That's the first thing we did.
Well, I think there's two lessons that you're giving to Howie right now on this very topic, which is that number one, as you take a step forward into darkness, you can start looking around for partnerships. And, you know, you did that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, the little family that made sandwiches for all, that was also an early partnership. And then the buying in bulk was an early partnership, right?
Yeah.
And then you partnered with me and some other folks to be like a little team of people that can, you know, give you ideas and stuff too. So that's partnership. So you've been good about looking around for partnerships, honestly, since day probably like 5 or 10, like really early. So that's one thing that I think as we walk forward into darkness, I never knew this before until you said this, but as you walk forward into darkness, also look around. Look around for other humans, because they may feel either just they like you, or they may like your idea, or they may want to, you know, profit with you if it's a for-profit situation. So yeah, look for partnerships. That's a great, I know you didn't intend on that, but that's what I pulled that out of what you said just now, is look for partnerships. And I also heard you say though, another I have these 5 principles. I think I've shared them with you before. One of my 5 principles is maximize use of leverage. Okay. And as you're walking forward into darkness, your ability there with that partnership, you are maximizing use of leverage too.
Yeah.
But it all started with 10 loaves, you know? Yeah. It all started with that first step toward the cloud, toward that dark cloud.
Yeah. And I think even like I love about the partnerships, I think there's some of us who just need to look around and realize you're not alone in the darkness. Whether you're looking, whether you're actually, you know, have the thought like, I need to get partnerships, I need to like lock arms with somebody, just look around and you're gonna like, don't be in the darkness.
I love that so much, dude.
Alone. Because you're not alone.
I love that.
You're, whether you feel like it or not, you're not. So do yourself the solid, like Howie's talking about, and look to find the person who's next to you.
Because you really haven't been alone. I mean, honestly, you seems like since probably day 10 or day early, you know, you have kind of had somebody, you know, some people were helping you just by being there for you. Some people gave, some people, I think some people give regularly, by the way, to this thing, just so in case anybody wants to sponsor him, by the way, you can. There are people that do monthly sponsorships. There are even people that do corporate sponsorships. And we're not pitching that, but please, if you guys feel the tug, then just know it's homeless showers and pedicures, manicures, and haircuts and all kinds of stuff that they're doing. By the way, just because we're talking about this, it was I hated to take the whole episode in this direction. It's so perfect for this. This dreams and visions idea it's a great example.
Okay. No,
so what's your website in case people want to donate, by the way?
www.cleanupusa.org.
Cool. What else do you want to cover on this? And I know you have a cool story. Yes. I want to make sure you cover your story before we wrap up.
Yes, I want to get into the story because I think the story actually encapsulates all these and it gets the topic off of me. Okay. So the story is about
so funny.
This is about Conrad Hilton, which until today I didn't know a lot about him, but I heard a quote about him, and I'm gonna start with the quote and give you backstory after that. I heard a quote that he gave in 1931 in the middle of the Depression, or in the start, where he said, "It is an outrageous and presumptuous time to dream." Right? He's telling that to other people because he has a dream and he's talking about this big dream in the middle of one of the worst times in human history.
Yeah, the Great Depression. Yeah, for sure.
It affected much more than just us. You know, it was an awful time. But he had a dream, and the dream he had prior was he saw in a magazine, he saw the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City, and he cut the picture out and he wrote on the picture the greatest of all time, and he put it on his desk, and he took it everywhere with him because that was the dream, right? That was, and number one, it was a goal that was a dream. His biggest goal that he had was that his hotels, through his hotels, there was going to be peace on earth. That was his mega goal, right? That again, that the Hilton brand he instituted to put out there. And so there's a lesson to be learned in that. Number one, that we've talked about vision casting, about having realistic, achievable goals that are high, but then having a main purpose and vision. And I think that gives two examples. And so you can see that in the middle of this, where many people, and I wouldn't even say many, I would say 99% of residents in the US were focused either, number one, on just the cloud around, or just focused on just getting by. And here you have Conrad Hilton with a dream and saying it's outrageous to do so right now, which 80 years later, many people would say it's outrageous to dream right now.
Yeah.
And he said it's presumptuous to dream right now. And I think many people would feel the same way because they feel this cloud of COVID, cloud of,
Good.
Of Afghanistan and Haiti and Ida and all this stuff. There's just so much negative. There's still a cloud, and it's just, can I just get by? And it's more about, is there something that will get me out of this cloud? And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
and the way he did that, by
incredible.
The way he did that was he was going bankrupt. The way he got out was he had a bellman give him $300 that he took a one-way ticket to Galveston from Dallas to Galveston, created a merger that allowed him for the next 4 years to have funding so that he could continue what he was doing to get out. So it incorporates the partnerships, it incorporates the vision, it incorporates the dream.
It sure does, doesn't that?
Yeah.
I think we've stumbled on a eternal global truth.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think it's deeper than we thought.
Okay.
This has been one of my most fun episodes, by the way.
Yeah. I like it.
I mean it. And I think this will change people's lives.
It has the opportunity to.
In fact, I think in the business college that I'm supposed to start a business college, by the way.
Yes, you are.
But I would love to have a module on walking into darkness and use these stories and use your story, and the Hilton one and all this, because I didn't realize. I think I had a problem tonight that I didn't realize I had, because my job is one, certain, there's uncertainty and generating your business and all that kind of stuff. Even though I love where I work, I don't have any problem with that. But in terms of like, you always, every quarter you get, you got to hit the number. But as far as my personal endeavor of this job search training, I don't think I realized I was in a cloud.
Yeah.
I think it's like you can actually be in the cloud and paralyzed by it.
Yeah. When we talked about the self-awareness, you were self-aware in business and with your current gig. I don't know if you want me to drop the name, but you're not, now you are self-aware about the job search, and how many of us aren't, or
to be clear, the job search is some content that I developed to help people find a job. So that's all it is.
Yeah. That you came up with in the season of you walking through that.
Yeah, I literally learned the processes and procedures by doing it. Yeah. And it worked. Like a lot of it was, very helpful in the search. But I think, this has really given me some food for thought. It's made me want to take you up on your idea to record it with this platform. But whatever the step is, like doing some step, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the video is high enough quality, but maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, for a beta kind of thing, maybe it doesn't matter. Just
it doesn't
10 loaves of bread, right?
10 loaves of bread. And you don't have to record all 10. Just record one.
Okay. Well, then that's baby steps. I'll do that. Tell you what, I will verbally commit you to do that one.
Thank you.
I may have to give you 2 though, because the first one is pure inspiration. It's like mindset.
Even better.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would say it's not practical to do just the mindset one, so we might want to do the mindset plus the first one.
Yeah.
But well, listen, kind of a longer episode, but I mean, to be honest, I really hope this gets it, and I hope and I pray that this gets in the hands of some folks, you know, a single mom who has a product idea, or, you know, somebody who's recently widowed or widowed, you know, has, you know, and they need to figure some income out, or a teenager who doesn't believe in themselves. I really would love to have this episode reach some people who have an idea, so that they'll just try it a little bit. Like you know, I wouldn't say one step forward. I mean, you know, it took you a couple weeks before you had any traction and before you had any partnerships appear, you know, I would say. I'm making that up, but I think that's about right. So you can't give it one day, right? So there is a perseverance element, right? Yeah. In fact, we thought about talking about perseverance in this episode and we didn't do it. We probably should have, but we'll just mention maybe as we close, like that is one of the steps.
Yeah, it's underlying.
Yeah.
It's one of those you don't have to mention. You can just kind of tell, you know, that that's what it takes, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, awesome, Howie.
Well, yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I'm blessed. I'm really I feel lifted.
Good.
Yeah, really, genuinely.
Well, enjoy the rest of your night. We're looking forward to next week. And
yes.
And so
let's do some content. Maybe we'll even do, if you want, we could either do one more on darkness and clouds and visions and all that if you want. We can see if we need to. Or we could do my job search content. That would be fine. Do 2 modules.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah, okay.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It doesn't have to be spontaneous. I try to tell people that all the time. Spontaneity doesn't